Right, new addition to the family, 2010 Twingo. Bought it for the eldest to learn to drive in. Doesn't appear to be a bad little thing. Paid far too much money for it, but everything seems to be going up at the minute on the used side of things. But to be fair, it is what it is. 98,000 miles. Seems to be clean and straight. There's the one of the special edition, limited edition iMusic things, which we can have a look at some point. But yeah, Bluetooth, electric windows, aircon, which doesn't work. But one of the problems we've got is sometimes it doesn't seem to go into gear properly. So on top of that, having an engine oil change and a clean up in here, as you'd expect. Obviously the engine oil change I'm not going to document. That's something that most people can do on their own. What we are going to look at though is changing the gearbox oil. See if that alleviates some of the issues when it's trying to go into usually second gear and fourth gear, I think, are the slight issues. So we'll get it jacked up and we'll have a look. Right, before we start anything, we just need to make sure that we can actually get the oil back in before we drain it. So there's a little plug on the front of the gearbox, which you can just see highlighted there, the little white plastic screw there, and that is located on the front. So if you can find all this, just follow it across and up, and there it is. And then we also need to remove this plastic cover to get to the sump plug. Pops off at this end, and just round the other side at the back it'll pop off there as well, and that will allow you to get, let's have a look, to the sump plug. So we'll just get that sorted, but just remember the filler is plastic, so don't put too much pressure on it and break it. Well, I've used a pair of grips to free off the inlet plug, and to take off the sump plug you need, let me have a look, 8mm, there it is, and that will do the gearbox and the engine oil sump plug. I have let some of this out already, but I forgot to put the camera on. So everything's a little bit tight at the minute because I've got my jack in the way. There we are. The actual colour of the oil doesn't seem too bad, so I don't think it's particularly old oil. You know, it's not black, so we'll leave that for a little while. Go and have a cup of coffee and let that drain out. Right, that's the sump plug back in. Just nip that up, so I don't want to go nuts with it. That should be tight enough. Make sure it's clear. What I'll probably do is to put a bit of engine cleaner or car cleaner or something around that, just to make sure we're all good, make sure it doesn't leak later. Right. Refilling. Easiest way is from here. Just feed the pipe in and just gently feed the oil back in. Also, just to note, at this point I've still got the car on a jack, so I'm going to put 3 or 4 of these in just to get going while it's easier, and then I'll drop the car level, because it needs to be on a level surface, because when the oil starts to come back out of the filling port, then that's when it's full. Well, looking at that, I think we've used just over 3 litres. I'm not entirely sure what the manual says it should take, but looking at that, that was just over 3 litres taken out of that. That's a 5 litre tub. So what we'll do now, we'll take it for a run and see if that's made any difference. Right, we've been out, done quite a few miles in it, and changing the gear oil does seem to have sorted it out. We've had no issues getting into 2nd or 4th like we did before, so hopefully that's now rectified for a while.